list? What is this? LUNCE'S list? LUNCE'S list. Oh. What is this? What is this? LUNCE'S list? LUNCE'S list. Oh. LUNCE'S list of 5. LUNCE'S list of 5. LUNCE'S list of 5. LUNCE'S list of 5.
John, here is the task. We need you to name the 5 wrestlers other than Kane that you have an affinity for. How'd you approach this list? Because it really is your top 6, not just your top 5.
Yeah, because Kane is number 1. But these are all much bigger names because I have been more of a casual fan. Even in the peak of the Attitude Era, I still was, I'd watch once or twice a month. Whatever Saturday show used to come on WCW, I used to always watch that all the time.
Saturday night.
That for some reason, just Saturday nights, it was like after football or whatever, I could watch that, or even in the offseason, I could watch that. But, yeah, these are all, for the most part, big names. That's all I have to say, because the big names are a big name for a reason.
Well, good. Let's start with number 5.
And if you don't mind, John, while you go, I'm going to play the at-home edition that I play every day at my house.
Oh, my gosh.
So
that's dedication. The at-home edition of LUNCE'S list. We should sell.
I was about to say the same thing. We need to make our own at-home edition.
Somebody get Reed on the
y'all
phone.
make shirts. We make a at-home edition.
We need an
of
at-home
LUNCE'S
edition
list.
of LUNCE'S list.
Yeah.
Ooh, starting off strong, John. Mankind.
I'm
Seen them before.
I'm surprised this is the number 5 spot because you have a reputation here of dressing up constantly, and you've been doing this, 4 or 5 times around the office just for fun.
Yeah.
Is dressing up as Mick Foley's Mankind.
Truth is, Mankind's the only one I can really pull off. Therefore, I dress up as Mankind there. At number 5, I like Mankind better than Cactus Jack Dude Love. I mean, I like Mick Foley the person, obviously, but of his, Mankind is definitely my favorite. Therefore, I guess you won't see Cactus Jack or Dude Love appear on the list, but I also would consider this all kind of one person at number 5 overall with Mick Foley. But Mankind, the look, the feel of Mankind, the matches Mankind participated in, obviously I don't know, is that considered the most iconic thing in wrestling when Undertaker threw him off or not? But it's
I'd
Mankind.
put it right up there with the Hogan Andre Slam. I would. It's one of the iconic pieces of wrestling imagery for sure.
Yeah.
So a strong choice there at number 5. You said you met Mick Foley, Brian? Is
I
that
have
correct?
not,
You have
but
not.
I tell you why I like the Mankind character myself. He had 2 theme songs. He had an intro song, and he had one, a more somber tone as he was choking somebody out in the middle of the ring. Very iconic.
Yeah.
There you go, Mr. Sacco.
Mr. Sacco.
John, I'm just going to make a Mr. Sacco joke, but I decided not to. Can you give us a little bit of the voice there? Who's your number? Who's your number 5? And what kind of day would you like us to have?
Oh, nice.
I can't do it.
Yes, you can. You can do it.
Have a nice day.
That's John's version of Mankind.
That's my version. I'm laughing. I did a lot better when I was on the next round. Anyway,
Quit with the Pittsburgh stuff. I'm telling you. Every time
Running
I see
gag. It's a running gag these days.
Ryan Brown's probably like, why does Tim always look at me so angrily? It's because a rock star always going Pittsburgh.
That's right.
Orange Ward.
Tyler, stop. It was the Steelers game. Stop. That's not what Bane sounded like in that movie at all. Number 4.
Undertaker. Should be a lot
In
higher.
purple.
I like the
take it.
purple. The purple's a nice touch, John.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, if I can do a color, I try to match it. The problem is when I do that, and then I have no other ones to match, so I just got to go black the rest of the time.
One half of the Brothers of Destruction.
Got to throw it. If Kane's my favorite, you got to go with the Undertaker as well. Now I do just like the Undertaker, and this is the story I always tell about the Undertaker. So for a while there, my dad is involved in drag racing with the NHRA, the National Hot Rod Association, and for a hot minute there, WWF sponsored a series of cars. And there was one, I'm trying to remember, there's one with Stone Cold. There was one with Triple H, I think. And then there was one with The Undertaker. And so at a race, The Undertaker came to promote the car. So, like, they're all staged up and everything. And this police car pulls in, and my dad's there with the car getting ready for their turn. And this police car pulls up, and this gigantic hand, I mean, it looked like this giant was getting out. And I imagine this is what people felt with Andre the Giant back in the day. But
this is how me and John met each other for the first time.
reaches up.
Was the pallbearer there?
That's not your best. Not your best.
Yeah, Paul Bearer, not there. But this giant hand, and he like has to pull himself out of the car and contort because he's so giant in there. And like that was one of the first times like seeing Giant wrestler in person. That like, hey, these are big dudes. And I know compared to like Andre the Giant, Undertaker's not that big compared to, Big Show, all that, but he's still one of the bigger ones.
Oh, yeah.
And just seeing the size of how big these guys actually are was incredible. And, I need to bring those cards, by the way. I have a couple of diecast
Did he
ones.
roll his eyes back at you?
No, it was one of those things you could tell he was paid to be there. He's just like,
Oh, that's cool.
and then got back in the car and left. That's pretty much it. But anyway, Undertaker definitely up there. Obviously, good WrestleMania matches, all that.
I'd love to see his one dead man show. I would. You have any interest in him doing his show, his touring show?
You know what? I didn't think he was that great of a public speaker, but now that he's come out as like him.
Oh, yeah. His Hall of Fame speech was great.
I think he'd be fantastic. Maybe not the funniest guy in the world, but
You watched any of these A&E biographies and all that stuff?
every once in a while I'll catch one,
They're
especially if it sparks my interest. But
They're good.
Yeah.
All right, let's go with number 3 on Lunce's list, the 5 wrestlers other than Kane, who is the champion of Lunce's list, that John likes. And we're getting all your lists in here, and we appreciate that. I don't want to spoil anything of John, so I'm going to let him go first. But I love that you guys are really filling up
CM
the
Punk
chat.
at number 3.
Oh,
was
wow.
gonna say,
Is he from Chicago?
Brian,
I think so, yeah.
That's a funny joke. Yeah, he is proudly from Chicago.
Proudly from
Big Blackhawks fan for sure.
Oh, that's what it was from.
Gross.
Huge Blackhawks fan.
That's what puts him down a step for me is the Blackhawks fandom. But no, I like CM Punk. Now, CM Punk not around growing up. Obviously, that's more of a recent thing, but you have to give CM Punk respect for the pipe bomb and everything that he did, leading to his exit from WWE, him coming back to AEW. I know was a big bump, and then obviously coming back here. Well, probably just came back here and instantly got injured. So back at WWE.
He's been injured a lot over the past few
He
years.
has. And what that storyline ultimately ends up being with him in WWE, I don't know, but
This is the first time the chat has turned against you for this list, John, when it comes to CM Punk. Jace, CM Punk, seriously, and then Brock hates the Blackhawks. So
well, I hate the Blackhawks too. But
there's that. But I
most
mean,
hated team from the Preds. But
he calls himself the best in the world, but he's 4th best in your eyes
now
because
I
Kane's number 1.
loved. He's the one person of the ones that Paul Heyman has represented that didn't need it, but when he was with Paul Heyman, both of them being good on the microphone, I loved the little bit of time they were together. Now Brock needed him. Roman Reigns needs him. CM Punk didn't need him, but that's what made it that much better when they got together.
Brian, I don't
Hated the Nexus.
I don't think you're a CM Punk guy.
No, it was a different kind of cut guy when he first broke in, the independent hero. Fine, that's all well and good. Yes, had some interesting moments John alluded to. Rocky, I don't know. Have you ever covered Cult of Personality on one of your rounds?
No, it's a great song, Live in Color. No, I have not. It's a great song.
Yeah.
Also being one of the few that actually uses like a real song.
Right.
too.
So there's a lot to like about him. The Phil Brooks man, not a lot to like about him. So, and that's what gets in trouble.
Great UFC fighter.
Yeah, just be this character. Be him.
Yeah.
I like CM Punk a lot. I think he's extremely important for the business. I do. I don't think it's just self-importance. I think he really does move the needle, and it shows. And I think he's always got a chip on his shoulder because he's always trying to prove all the skeptics wrong. He always, no matter how happy he may come across when he first lands somewhere, he's always got something that has to motivate him internally and behind the scenes and backstage, and a lot of that bleeds over into the main product. And I think that's good for wrestling when you're seeing that drama coming from behind the scenes into the main product. And there's no doubt CM Punk is associated with a lot of drama. He was recently on a tell-all podcast that's making a bunch of headlines, and he basically bashes his time at AEW, and he burns a lot of bridges, Brian. That is for sure. I'm not just...
But he's so good. He can come back from them, too.
He's a draw. He's a draw for
is.
sure. All right, let's get into number 2 on Lunce's list of the 5 wrestlers other than Kane that John loves because Kane will always be there in that top spot.
Yeah, you mentioned Rick the Model Martel.
Troy
We
says,
still have 2. We still
Okay.
have 2.
Troy says CM Punk doesn't move the needle for me, never has. He's pretty good on the mic, though. We have Jace that says the way Punk started going after some of the old guard at AEW, it rubbed me the wrong way. Let's go to number 2.
Tim got some love.
Oh, my gosh. Captain Insano made the list?
He did. And I wrote The Giant for a reason, not Big Show, because that is how I first came into knowing him. And he was my Andre the Giant. Like,
Same
that
here.
Absolutely bigger than life person. Hate the name Big Show. love the Giant so much more. It's super plain and super simple and really not much to it, but it works. And when he came to WWF and then changed to Big Show, I wasn't a big fan of that. But I really liked him. One of the coolest like things that has happened in the ring to me was when him and Brock Lesnar fought and the whole ring collapsed in on itself. Stuff like that, just from hey, there's a big dude out there that's about to put a beat down on somebody. Loved watching him. Haven't paid attention at all since he went to AEW, but
he's planning a comeback, and he's been really banged up, and he's been dealing with knee issues, and he hasn't looked.
I understand.
He just has not looked very mobile at all, and I am a giant Big Show fan. That sounds like a pun, but it's not. Big Show's maybe my favorite wrestler of all time because he's so overlooked, I would say. I mean, he really does a great job of connecting with the crowd. He's much funnier and wittier than people give him credit for. When he was on SNL, when The Rock was hosting and Big Show showed up, Big Show stole the show that night. He did. He had a chair hiding behind his back. It was funny.
You ever watch the Big Show?
I did.
Not
I watched a couple episodes of that.
But it wasn't bad. I love the Big Show. I really do. And I'm rooting for Paul White and to be healthy as he continues his wrestling journey. A lot of people in the comments section of all these wrestling social media posts are like, just hang it up already. You've done your time. It's time to go. But he still feels like he has some gas left in the tank. And Brian, that's one thing that regardless of maybe how you feel about a wrestler, when they're going out there and they're trying to give it their all and they're trying to entertain for the fans, I think there's something that's great about that. And while I want Big Show to care about his health first and foremost, if he feels like he can go, I trust him that he can go.
Stay enough long to be the villain. That's what Batman taught us, right? And if you hang around long enough, people are going to be tired of you. I think Paul White has so much to offer younger up-and-coming stars, be it giants or little guys. He has true passion for wrestling. I mean, that man will cry at some Hall of Fames. He just loves what he got into in life. And he's been doing it 30-something years.
Oh, yeah.
And anytime somebody hits a 30 mark, I mean, put it into perspective, Randy Orton is in his 20th. Big Show is 10 years prior to that. Same thing with, like, a Chris Jericho. He's been doing it for however long, and everybody's tired of Jericho. Guys like him, we saw it with Sting. We've seen it with a few Undertaker. Let them kind of have that one final ride of glory, and then don't Ric Flair yourself and keep coming back. End on that high note that you really deserve. He's one of those that deserves a happy ending.
A future
superhero-wise.
Future WWE Hall of Famer.
No doubt.
No doubt. The Big Show. He's been a part of so many generations of wrestling, and they've done every gimmick they could possibly do with him. He's been the funny guy. He's been the wacky guy. He's been the teddy bear. He's been the menacing giant. Him and Big Boss Man actually had a great feud to point back to.
He started as Andre's son.
He did, and I'm glad they got away from that gimmick
was
for
dumb.
sure. All right, let's go with number one on LUNCE'S list. Other than Kane, who would make John's list of the wrestlers that he has the most passion for? All of your lists are still coming in. I'm going to get to as many of them as possible. I promise you that. We also have Brian Pavlik's at-home LUNCE'S
The
list.
at-home edition is...
I don't want to get into those 5 yet.
No, I'm revising as John's going because this is good.
All right, number one. Wow, fan favorite here for sure.
Oh, easy choice. Not even close.
Okay, question.
Longest yard.
Let me ask this from Brian real quick. The biggest draw in the history of wrestling, Stone Cold Steve Austin, correct?
Right person at the right time with the right attitude. Absolutely right on.
Yep.
John, what needs to be said about Stone Cold that hasn't already been said and his impact in professional wrestling? I don't know, but you're going to try to say it.
I can't. I mean, exactly what Brian said. He is the pinnacle of when I was into the WWF side of things. The Rock is a part of the main event of WrestleMania coming up, and yet you go back to WrestleMania 15 was their first match, I think, with The Rock and Stone Cold, that Stone Cold still pops up every now and then. When he came in 2 years ago with the Pat McAfee match and stunned Vince McMahon and stunned Pat McAfee and everything. I mean, it's just every time he pops on the screen, kind of like The Rock, everybody's instantly totally into it, and there's a reason for that. I don't know how to phrase this, but he's like the most just normal when you look at him wrestling. Like, it's not a gimmick.
No.
Like, I just believe that's just a dude wrestling. Like, I mean,
Let me say something I hope doesn't offend you. it's not like Larry the Cable Guy where he can cut it on and off.
Correct. No,
And you're a huge Larry the Cable Guy fan,
I
and I
am.
know this. But
Joe
you know what
Mater.
I mean? It's jarring for people
It
when
is.
they hear him outside of his act, and they're like, whoa.
Right.
And you don't feel that way with Stone Cold.
No, Stone Cold is exactly what he is, and you see him on social media, you see him in wrestling, you see him on a podcast when he was doing his. Does he still do his podcast?
No, but those
Broken-
interview shows were
The Broken
Yeah.
Skull
Awesome.
session.
yeah, Broken Skull. Yeah.
You know, anytime you see him, he is literally just him. And I mean, even people like a John Cena that like that's still his name. That's still for the most part him has had gimmicks in the past that like
Right.
he's had to get through whatever. Stone Cold is just Stone Cold. And there may be stuff back in the day when he first was starting that he had gimmicks and stuff. But as far as I know Stone Cold, as far as the average person knows Stone Cold, it's just a dude out there wrestling.
Yep.
End of story. There's
Fighting.
no gimmick.
Fighting.
Fighting.
Okay. Make sure you tune into the Pavlik Six Pack here on this channel because Stone Cold may or may not be a discussion point in that. We will see. But, Brian Pavlik, I want to hear your list of, it's not your Mount Rushmore because there's an additional choice here, but it is your personal list of the 5 wrestlers in which you're most passionate about.
Yeah, it's the at-home edition. I'll flip it around here, but for the sake of dramatics, the 5th would be RVD. The reason being, it was the 3rd popular federation going at
ECW.
the time, ECW. And I actually saw prime Rob Van Dam 1998 in some throwaway house show, and I was blown away by the athleticism of this guy. Never got into the 420 stuff, but what he just did in the ring was unheard of, and then quickly everybody else caught up. So I think Rob Van Dam is one of those guys where he won't get as much love or as popularity as some of these guys, but that dude in his prime was untouchable. So then
I'm a big fan of his 5-star frog splash,
of course,
by the way.
of
It's
course.
great.
So one of the arguments back in the day was, are you a Stone Cold fan or are you a this guy? And that this guy was Goldberg. And again, right person at the right time in the right position where you've got this guy that couldn't make it with the Atlanta Falcons, shows up, and now we've got this thing called the streak. Before there was the streak, there was Goldberg streak.
There was a third guy as well you're leaving out.
Who's this one?
Gilbert.
Gilbert.
Oh, Gilbert.
Gosh,
Well, now,
I was about to say I was more of a Gilbert person.
well, now, yes, Gilbert versus V. Goldberg. I think it happened once. I forget what happened. But
Hang on, there was a Goldberg and also a Gilbert.
That's right.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Dwayne
All right,
Gill.
just making
God
sure
love
I'm
that
keeping
man.
up.
Brian, I'm sorry for our unprofessional.
I love it. Again, I'm a fan of the show. I
You
expected
deserve
it.
better.
No, but Goldberg, here's how I knew Goldberg was popular. In 1998 or whatever, growing up in Montgomery, Alabama, we had our summer football workouts, and our coaches canceled that Monday afternoon because they were all going to the Georgia Dome to watch Goldberg and Hogan. And that's how popular that guy was. And, you know, he wound up having a pretty good career, I would say, and, you know, made a comeback that failed. But Goldberg at the time, you wanted the shirt. I think a lot of people still have the tattoo that, you know, they got 20 years ago. But Goldberg is up there for sure.
All right.
The next 3, it's all old school. You saw that from my shirt. But Roddy Piper, not just the incredible movie star.
They live.
They live, among others. The bubblegum
twice
quote.
this week it's been referenced.
Yeah, the bubblegum quote is still one of the greatest all time. Piper, as somebody who likes to think of himself as a witty guy and a comedian in some circles, Piper was it. He could out-talk people. He used commentary. Those old school SummerSlams and WrestleManias when he was a commentator, I still quote some of his quotes to this day based on how amazingly sharp and witty they were.
Do you remember Roddy Piper appearing as a guest on Bill Maher's Politically Incorrect?
Was this the one that got him fired from WWE or something like that when he admitted about steroids?
Well, what I remember most about this is he was fighting back against it being a fake thing, wrestling.
That's what it was. It was
And
kind of the fourth
then
wall
he
thing.
pulled his pants down and showed his whole entire leg that was completely bruised. And he was like, "Does this look fake to you?" And it was a very jarring moment where even Bill Maher had to be like, "Okay, you win. Just put your pants back on,
Oh, yeah.
please."
No, but that's one of those Roddy Piper quotes. What does the Scotsman wear under his kilt? His shoes. And I'll always remember that from Roddy Piper. Just good stuff. So, number 2, even though I'm wearing the shirt, he does make the Deuce column here. Randy Savage, a psycho, a maniac, but boy, what a personality. I posted it on my own Facebook page every WrestleMania week. The greatest moment, him and Miss Elizabeth reuniting. It's still grown man tears just because of it. Yeah, but savage athleticism, had one of the greatest stories with the mega powers with Hulk Hogan.
Absolutely. The wedding, everything.
Well, the wedding, yes. And his feuds were great. He feuded with everybody, Flair and Jake the Snake and
Spider-Man.
So yeah, he Bonesaw. He did pretty good as Bonesaw. He was jacked too. And then you're lying to yourself, not you, John, but at home in the at-home edition. You're lying if Hulk Hogan was not one.
I've never been a big Hogan guy, but it's also before my time.
But that was the
NWO was
thing.
as I was coming in. That was kind of it for me with Hogan.
It was 40 years ago with the Hulkamaniac stuff, and you're getting out of these runs from Bob Backlund and Bruno Sammartino and these old school wrestlers in Madison Square Garden, and then you got this guy Thunder Lips, and he just looks so much different. And from the Real American theme song to the red and the yellow, which, McDonald's, I'm sure, had a field day over back in the day.
And the biggest heel turn of all time ever.
And that's what I was going to say. Great wrestling personas reinvent themselves when they need to. When he kicked in with the NWO for a Hulkamaniac growing up, that was the biggest mind-you-know-what of all time. How is Hulk Hogan a bad guy?
Yeah.
And then to reinvent himself and go back to yellow and red, and now he's just there. I know people hate Hulk Hogan modern day for things that he has done in his personal life. And yes, Terry Bollea, the man, may be that character. But Hulk Hogan and what he did for... We're talking today, spending time on your precious airways because of Hulk Hogan.
There's been a rumored project that I've wanted to see for a long time, and that is
Suburban Commando 2.
Yes.
Christopher Lloyd in it?
Yeah. I would prefer Mr. Nanny 2 first.
Woo, sure.
No, it is a biopic of Hulk Hogan, but played by Chris Hemsworth.
Oh,
and
yeah.
It's been in development hell for a while, but I think that would be something that delivers. Let's get a couple of your lists in here. And here's what I want you to do, Brian.
Yeah.
Give me one word. When you hear the name, the first word that comes to mind when I say this. Okay? So we have Jace's list. Number 5 is Macho Man.
Oh, yeah. Slim Jim.
Elizabeth. There we go, Elizabeth. Number 4, The Undertaker.
Earn.
Number 3, Sting.
Paint.
Number 2, Ric Flair.
Woo.
And number 1, Hulk Hogan, according to Jace.
Brother.
We have Sick Nasty Heat says number 5, Jeff Hardy.
Have a saying, but he does the thing.
It's the Hardy Boys. We're gonna.
I'm gonna quit torturing you. John Cena, Chris Jericho, Randy Orton, and Shawn Michaels. Shawn Michaels number 1 on Sick Nasty.
Michaels
Heat's
in
list.
his prime, and then he had a prime for 10 years.
Yeah, he would be nowhere without Marty Jannetty, right?
That guy says Jake the Snake, Ric Flair,
Absolutely.
Junkyard Dog, Triple H, and Hacksaw Jim Duggan. I love Triple H. Triple H would make my 5.
Now,
for
I
sure.
will say the
He's my number 6.
Junkyard Dog. I think there's home movies of me doing the Junkyard Juke or Wiggle. I forget what it's called, but I do know that he had
clip
Thump.
of that right now. Go ahead and play it, John.
God.
No, I'm just
He
kidding.
had Thump on his butt, and that always was fun for me.
We have Jody that says Austin Idol at number 5.
Sure.
Number 4, Steve Austin. Number 3, Harley Race, who, by the way, the actor who plays Harley Race in The Iron Claw kills it.
Yeah.
The actor that plays Ric Flair, which is number 2 on Jody's list in The Iron Claw,
Not so
no.
much.
That was one of the worst things I've ever seen.
bad.
It took me
Real
so much out of that movie. And
Big
number
ol'
1,
miss.
The American Dream, Dusty Rhodes.
Yeah, a lot of NWA there, but listen, that's where this stuff started. And to get ready for the Iron Claw, I went back and watched a lot of old school world class championship wrestling. And Ric Flair, we'll joke on him, and he's just a farce of himself. But if you're interested, go back and watch 82, 83 Ric Flair just kind of putting through the territories. There's a reason people say he was the greatest.
A lot of love being shown for DDP in the chat as well. Everyone has their favorites for sure. We've profiled a lot of them through Lunce's List and through the home edition of Lunce's List, which pretty soon you can get for the low fee of $9.99. Am I pricing that too low? Probably so. But that's what the
$999, yeah.
Tyler will deliver it too.
He will.
He will.
For a very small fee.
Only in Blount County.
Exclusively in Bibb County.
$740,000.
Yes.
Yep.
All right. He's a businessman
Oh, I
now.
thought it was Blount County.
Lovable boy.
Hey, if you want to earn up the amount of money needed to purchase Tyler for a day with his Tyler's Telegrams,
Hey, now.
Hey, yo.
you can accomplish that by visiting our title sponsor, John, and that's MyBookie.
Go to mybookie.ag. Use promo code next round for that first deposit bonus. WrestleMania odds up right now, even though we have leans in a lot of the matches here. Wouldn't shock us if some of these upsets happen. So you can go there, make some money there with our friends at mybookie.ag. Bet anything, anytime, anywhere. Use promo code next round at mybookie.ag.
And Tyler, it was a glorious day for us. We got a chance to enjoy the delicious Culver's menu. We had different things. What did you enjoy today?
I got a single butter burger with some fries and a chocolate shake. That chocolate shake was delicious. Might be the best shake I've had anywhere.
And what kills me is that was just a medium, and it was like
It was a hefty shake.
it was a hefty shake for sure. That's what the Junkyard Dog did, a hefty shake there. Oh, God. Okay, I'm done with the segues. Appreciate all of you for being here as a part of Meltdonia. We appreciate Brian Pavlik making his official debut. He has been a contributor for us talking about the legacy of Sting, but now having done a complete episode, it's official now. You're a part of the rotation. We appreciate you, Brian.
And for those of you in the chat room, you too can leave the dream and be in Laurel's seat one day.
that is what we're calling it, Laurel's seat for sure. Appreciate everybody being here with us today. Make sure you like this video and subscribe if you haven't already. We'll continue to keep you updated on all the latest wrestling news as we approach WrestleMania 40 for sure. Have a great day.